Vice Admiral John Wade here, Commander of Joint Task Force Red Hill. I wanted to provide the community a progress update on our efforts to defuel the Red Hill bulk fuel storage facility. My last community update was in early October, and at that time I explained that my team and I were conducting final preparations which included reviews of our procedures, rehearsals, and safety checks. We're also working to obtain final regulatory approvals to commence our defueling operations. We received these approvals on the 12th of October, and before we started, we held a blessing at Joint Base Pearl Harbor-Hickam with many government, Department of Defense, and select community members in attendance. And the purpose was to give my team and all those involved the strength, focus, confidence, and peace of mind to execute our operations safely. On Monday, 16 October, early in the morning, we went through all of our operations briefs, then conducted deliberate and methodical safety walkthroughs to ensure all conditions were set to commence. And once everything was confirmed ready to go, my Deputy Commander, Brigadier General Michelle Link, and Fuels Directorate Lead, Captain Sean Triggs, called me requesting permission to start.
Sir, we are calling to request permission to commence defueling.
Team, you have permission to commence defueling the Red Hill bulk fuel storage facility. Please log time now, 0901, 16 October for historical purposes. For Michelle and Sean, I want you to execute with exacting precision, 100% procedural compliance.
Yes, sir.
We're now a month into our defueling efforts, and as of this morning, we have safely removed a little over 100 million gallons, over 96%. And by this Saturday, 18 November, when we conclude the first stage of gravity defueling, we'll have removed a little over 102 million gallons, or 98.5% of fuel from the facility. A small amount of this fuel has been drained to the above-ground storage tanks at Joint Base Pearl Harbor-Hickam to support training and operations. But the majority of the fuel is being relocated in partnership with United States Indo-Pacific Command, United States Transportation Command, and the Defense Logistics Agency to other fuel storage locations, including Island Energy Services here in Hawaii, in San Diego, Philippines, and Singapore. Let's briefly talk about safety. As I've told you before, my team and I take safety of personnel very seriously. Our people are our most important resource and critical to mission success. I can understand and appreciate the concerns from the community, especially given what happened in 2021. Just days before defueling commenced, it was reported heavily in the media that the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, otherwise known as OSHA, was investigating a complaint from a concerned citizen regarding the number of exits in the facility, egress procedures in case of an emergency, and sufficiency of firefighting training. My team and I fully cooperated with OSHA. We answered all their questions, and we even met with them at the Red Hill facility to highlight the extensive safety practices and programs that have been implemented, such as emergency evacuation routes and what we practiced, personnel protective equipment, emergency breathing devices, and our firefighting plan with Fed Fire. I want you all to know that we share OSHA's goal to reduce risk to the maximum extent practical and to ensure the safety of all our personnel. And to this end, my team and I will continue to work with OSHA to answer any additional questions or inquiries they may have. With this said, I'd like to now discuss how things are going operationally from a safety perspective. The bottom line, things are going very well. I'm extremely pleased thus far, not only in the performance of my team, but also the material condition of the equipment and facility. We've had no injuries to our personnel. And equally important, we've had no spills or fires. And lastly, we've had no serious incidents that could impact the health of our team or the community or impact the environment and aquifer. And in the month of near continuous operations, we've had only 2 minor incidents. Both were small leaks from valves, roughly 3 gallons total, that were immediately identified by my team, corrected on the spot, and resulted in no release to the environment. Each were promptly addressed in accordance with the prior planning and response processes that we had in place and in coordination with the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, and the Hawaii Department of Health, DOH, who were present and on scene during both incidents. The first leak occurred on October 16th at a valve in the underground pump house on Joint Base Pearl Harbor-Hickam, as we were conducting our startup procedures with increased pressures. Approximately 1 gallon was captured in pre-positioned containment and disposed of properly. The second leak occurred on October 26th at a valve in a low point drain just outside the underground pump house while we were defueling. And in this case, approximately 2 gallons were captured in pre-positioned secondary containment and disposed of properly. Small leaks like these were not unexpected, especially in a facility of this size, and we were fully prepared to address. Again, there was no release to the environment, and at no time was there a threat to Red Hill personnel, the community, the aquifer, or drinking water. Please know, my team and I are absolutely committed to the safe defueling of Red Hill, and we will immediately report to the public if there is any incident that has the potential to endanger our personnel, the community, or the environment. So let's talk about what's next for our defueling effort. As I mentioned, this Saturday, November 18th, we will conclude the first stage of gravity defueling by removing fuel from all the storage tanks down to the 7-foot level. The next stage will be conducted in early December after the Thanksgiving holiday, where we will drain the fuel at the bottom of each tank, and this portion of fuel is referred to as the tank bottoms. Then, after the Christmas holiday and in January, we will complete gravity defueling by removing the fuel from the pipelines, and this is called unpacking. My team and I assess that we're slightly ahead of schedule and have initiated discussions with the EPA and the DOH to possibly accelerate the gravity defueling timeline where possible. We'll review this methodically and deliberately, and I expect to know more towards the end of November, and we'll keep the community informed. Once gravity defueling is complete, right now planned for January 19th, but could be a little bit earlier, just like I mentioned, 99.9% of the fuel in Red Hill will have been removed. But there still will be what's called residual fuel, and this is fuel that can't be removed by gravity. This fuel will remain in low point drains or bends and sags in the pipeline, and the total amount of residual fuel is estimated to be approximately 64,000 gallons. And this is determined after doing detailed surveys and engineering analysis. This past Tuesday, November 14th, the Department of Defense released Defueling Supplement Number 3 to the Red Hill Defueling Plan. And this supplement provides the actions and key milestones for removing this fuel. It also defines the distinction between defueling tasks and closure tasks. Our analysis shows that 60,000 of the 64,000 gallons can be removed without disabling the pipelines and in approximately 2 months. This means we can remove the fuel by opening each of the low point drains and letting fuel out and collected, similar to draining oil out of a car engine when changing its oil. Or we'll open up vent valves that are located at various points on the top of the pipeline and drop in a small hose and slowly pump it out. The remaining 4,000 gallons, however, can only be accessed by physically altering the pipelines, meaning the pipeline would have to be cut into or valves physically removed to gain access to the pockets of fuel. And this will be a much lengthier process, given the sequencing of cleaning of the tanks, the removal of sludge, and also the removal of pipelines combined with stringent regulatory approvals. So, the plan is for Joint Task Force Red Hill to commence removing the 60,000 gallons of residual fuel in January of 2024, and concurrently a new Navy task force called Navy Closure Task Force Red Hill will be stood up, and then this will then start a transition period during which JTF Red Hill will conduct a deliberate turnover with this new task force so they can learn our processes, everything that we've done for safety, security, and also community engagement. This turnover will continue until Joint Task Force Red Hill completes the removal of the 60,000 gallons, which is projected to be completed by the end of March 2024. And at that point, the Navy Closure Task Force will assume full responsibility for Red Hill, including centralized control for all activities and the completion of the residual fuel removal, the removal of sludge in the bottoms of the tanks, the cleaning of the tanks, and the removal of the pipelines. The commander of the Navy Closure Task Force Red Hill will be Admiral Steve Barnett, who is also Navy Region Hawaii Commander. In the weeks ahead, both he and I will conduct engagements with the community, elected officials, and the media to provide more details regarding this transition. Let me conclude by saying that over the past year, my team and I, in honest, good faith, have done our very best to engage with the community and military families, not just to communicate what we were doing and why, but to also listen. While some of what was said has sometimes been difficult to listen to, we understand why, and we needed to hear it. It's helped us to better understand your concerns. It's given us greater purpose and meaning for what we're doing. And quite frankly, and I mean this with all sincerity, it's driven us to check, recheck, and triple check everything that we're doing. In essence, it's made us safer. For this feedback, I want you to know my team and I are incredibly grateful. Now, we're not done yet. There's still much more to do. But my team and I remain absolutely committed to executing our mission safely and expeditiously, and will remain hyper-vigilant as we do so. Thank you so much for your continued support and your prayers, and we'll continue to keep you updated moving forward. Thank you.